Hello, guys. Welcome to Approach the Nerd. And the Owl House is back. I am so excited. This was a very cute and a little sad episode. There are some things going on with both Luz and Ida that, kind of made me a little sad. So I'm just going to jump kind of into what was going on. So in the episode, Luz starts off by trying to make a video to convince her mother that she should still be able to stay in the Boiling Isles. But every time she tries to make said video, and it's like when she's trying to convince her that things are great, something goes horribly wrong. Like, for example, she said it's not dangerous here, and of course, she's immediately put in the danger, or she's like, I'm learning magic. And she starts using one of her glyphs and it accidentally almost hurts someone and they threaten to burn her alive. She goes to the principal at school and talks about at least, at school she's safe. And, they put the students priority first. And then he starts talking about basically the dungeon that they usually put them in for detention and how, you see a kid saying, please help me, like being tortured. So like everything that Luz tried to do to convince her mother in this video to allow her to stay in the Boiling Isles was not convincing. And so she is very put off and very depressed. Gus and Willow are like speculating how Bellows really looks. And I thought that interaction was hilarious. Like, he could be really handsome like me. And it was really, really funny. And, they asked Luz, since she's the only one that's actually been near Emperor Bellows and potentially saw his face to describe what he looks like. And she's like, I really didn't look. And then Amity comes out of nowhere and she's like, I think he was, his face is actually damaged from wild magic, which it is. And then she calls Luz a sweet potato. And I thought that was really funny because the reason she called Luz a sweet potato is because Gus gave her what he thought was a book about human languages. And actually it was like a cookbook called Mama's Puras. So it's a Spanish, cookbook. And so she's basically learning words from recipes. And so she called, which I guess technically she really could have called her anything. So calling her a sweet potato was probably a good thing. But, it was really, really cute. Luz did not correct her when she saw the title of the book. And she's like, oh, you're the sweet potato. And they're just blushing. They're absolutely freaking adorable. As much as I love this series, I'm totally in this for Lumity. Let's be real. My queer heart. I love it so much. And of course, then Amity, who's kind of blushing, she recovered. She's like, hey, did you ever use the Titan blood? Did you ever, make the door and go see your mom? And they're asking her all these questions. And she lies to Gus and Willow and Amity and says, no, she hasn't, because she just can't bring herself to tell them that her mother made her promise to leave Boiling Isles and never come back, especially her girlfriend. And so, Ida and King are coming with Hootie to pick her up. And so she kisses Amity, another cute moment. And, you see Amity blushing and she leaves, but she drops her phone and leaves it for Amity to see. Now, initially, I thought Amity was going to look at that video. I really did. And I love that Amity chose to go to Willow's house to ask for advice because she doesn't want to invade her girlfriend's privacy. This is why I love this couple. And I love the fact that by her going to Willow's house and Willow's like, hey, if you really want me to give you advice, you have to do something for me. Do you still know how to braid hair? And so she ends up braiding Willow's hair. And it's like they're getting their old relationship back because they were BFFs. And remember what we learned last season is that the only reason her and Amity stopped being friends was because of, I think it was the first season. Oh, it was because of Amity's parents not thinking she was good enough. And so I love that her and Willow are getting it back. But side note, my girl Willow was pumping some weights. She was pumping that iron. I'm like, what is she doing? I thought that was very cool. So she has this like kind of hangout where she braids Willow's hair. But we don't see anything else about it. But I do think that we definitely need to have more of these two girls and their friendship. And it'll give Willow something to do because Willow and Gus are cool, but they're not in it as much anymore because I guess there's not a plot forward for them. Gus has a little bit more screen time than Willow does, but Willow's really been kind of behind. So I'm hoping they do more with her. And having her be BFFs with Amity again, I think is going to be very, instrumental, especially since this is unfortunately the last season. So I'm in my feelings about it. All right. So at the same time, like, again, Luz is having these issues and, she's talking to Ida and King about it. And of course, Ida does her normal thing. She's like, you know what? when we meet your mother, we'll make sure that you don't go home. I'll just charm her, the type of charm that turns people into obedient zombies. And I'm like, oh Lord. And Luce just has this look on her face. She doesn't say, no, you can't do it. But I thought that was extremely funny that she was like, it was almost like she was thinking about it for a second. So, but it's the Coven Day Parade. And Ida is there to try and hire someone to spy on Rain because, Rain was taken capture. He sacrificed himself so Ida could get away. And we remember that Bellows was holding him somewhere. And so Rain is supposed to make an appearance at the Coven Day Parade along with Kikimora, who we all know and love. And so Ida's trying to figure out how to get eyes on them. And Rain, unfortunately, has no memories of Ida or any of their time together at all because Tara, who is Tara Snapdragon, she's like the head witch of the Plant Coven, has been giving him this tea that kind of like erases his memories and brainwashes him into being compliant to and loyal to Emperor, Bellows. So I already knew when he drank that tea, this was not going to go the way they planned. But long story short, Luce is so desperate to try and prove that you don't have to choose between worlds that she comes up with this plan after overhearing Kiki talk to her mother and her mother giving her an ultimatum about coming, back home to, I forgot what they call it. It's pretty much a play on Palm Springs. But I'll think about it in a minute. But she was supposed to go home to her family and her mother's like, you're going to choose us, our Emperor Bellows, and leading this parade. So she gave her an ultimatum. And of course, Kiki's like, well, I've been failing at all my missions. So if I don't do this, Emperor Bellows is going to banish me or probably end my life. But if I do it, then my mom's going to banish me from my home and all of my family. So she's like stuck in the middle. So of course, Luce hears that and she's like, I'm going to help this woman. She does it under the guise of helping Ida with Rain. And Ida's so gaga over Rain that she just kind of goes along with it. She's like, oh yeah, I want to, Luce is like, I love romantic reunions. And of course, she buys that. Ida buys that because Luce does love romantic, endings. So, or reunions. And there's a lot of play on the book series that both Luce and Amity like with the characters Hecate and Azora. So there's a lot of play on that. She actually plans to kidnap Rain and Kikimora to make it look like a kidnapping. So Kikimora won't be punished. And of course, Ida could be reunited with Rain. And she does it because that's what happened in one of the chapters of her book. And Amity is there and she, Luce is basically in the process of kidnapping Kikimora, which they made this float, and that was their guys to get close to the stage to be able to grab her, and of course to grab Rain. And she makes this speech as Hecate, right? That's like straight out of the book, and of course Amity, she recognizes what it is. So, long story short, Amity ends up helping Luce, try and get Kikimora away so they can she can go home and then come back and then boast how she escaped and blah, 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 and then get notoriety by Emperor Bellows. It's a weird plan, but I mean, again, Luce is only doing this because she wants to prove that, you don't have to choose between worlds, and it's something that's eating at her. But they take her to Princess, which, is a little dragon creature that we met earlier on last season or last part of the season. And I was so in my feelings because Kikimora, when they were escaping, Tara was telling her, oh, we were going to promote you and blah, 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 blah. And Kikimora is so ambitious that she turned on, of course, Luce and of course Amity, by proxy. And Princess turned too. And I was like, that is so sad. I was so sad that happened. Because I really like the little dragon. But anyway, this basically led to a tag team fight with Amity and Luce against Kikimora and Princess. And I will say, Amity and Luce fighting together is really cool to watch. They work very well together, almost instantly. I love that she, Amity made this glove. And there was a glyph, an ice glyph that Luce put on top of it. And she was firing ice, at Princess and Kikimora. I don't know, that whole fight scene was exhilarating. It was short, but it was very exhilarating. But what ends up saving them is Tara. Tara actually came and grabbed Kikimora and said, you've actually passed. This was a test to see if you deserved promotion. And she's like, oh, well, what do I get? And she's like, you get to live. And I was like, well, damn. Like, Emperor Belos is not playing around. And then, of course, Luce like hugs Amity and says, you saved me. You know, what can I do to repay you? And she's like, basically, tell me what's going on. I found your phone. And so Luce is like, oh, she's like, don't worry. I didn't look at the video, but I know you saw your mom. I know you went to the door. What happened? So then Luce ends up telling her what happened. But it was such a sad and cute scene. She's like, but you were, you were so hopeful and you were learning Spanish. I'm like, actually, she was learning recipes in Spanish, but that's fine. But yeah, so I'll get back to them in a second. But it was a really cute and little sad scene where she had to tell Amity that her mom doesn't want her to come back and stay with them. And I would have loved to seen Amity's reaction to that, but we didn't get that. So I'll revisit that in a second. So the other part is when Ida has Rain, of course, Rain doesn't remember anything that they've been through. He doesn't remember the song that they composed together. He doesn't remember anything. They're non-binary. They are still very much into Ida. And the reason I'm saying that is because Ida doesn't have regular magic. She's only using glyphs. And honestly, Rain could have taken Ida out at any point. And, it's sad because Ida doesn't want to give up on Rain, and Rain is like, go home. For old time's sake, just go. And when the rest of the guards are coming after they are fighting, she had her foot on this invisibility spell, but it was too far. And Rain ends up passing it to her and says, leave, and then covers for her, and then has a tear in their eye, and then says everything's fine. And kind of basically, let's get back to the parade. So Rain is brainwashed, completely brainwashed. His memories are suppressed. He does not remember any of his time, like the recent makeup and time with Ida. And I feel so bad for Ida. I'm like, oh, Ida to get her partner. So I was in my feelings. I mean, it's so sad. We've got Luce and Amity who are facing being torn apart when she goes home. And then we have Ida and Rain who are facing being torn apart because Rain's being brainwashed and doesn't remember being together. So it's so sad to me. And then on top of that, we have, we didn't see Hunter in this episode, but we had, so basically the parade is still going. And then the Emperor does a speech where he talks about the Day of Unity is going to be in a month. And he's going to create a utopia free of wild magic. And we're like, what? And then he reveals his face. And I thought when he reveals his face, that everybody's like, oh, a human. But everyone was like, meh. Even Willow and Gus were like, he's not that, nah. It was just kind of foreboding because they were just talking about it at the top end of the episode, what he looked like. And then he pulls his mask off, probably, as Ida says, to distract everybody from what he's planning to do to create this utopia, which is interesting. But it's interesting. And then you have Amity and Luce, and Amity's like, wait, what's he actually planning? What's going on? What else do I not know? And Amity had told Luce they should just take things one day at a time earlier. And so Luce is like, we're just going to have to wait and take it one day at a time. So stuff is getting real, guys. It's getting real. And they have 1 month before the Day of Unity, the Emperor's full plan comes into play. So, and I'm very curious because I'm convinced he's trying to go over to the human realm. I really am. I think going to a world free of wild magic is actually going over into Luce's world. And I'm really curious to see how he's going to pull this off because I have a feeling that he has his own portal. I mean, he has everything he needs. He has a Titan blood. He's been studying this for a long time because I believe he was the first human to ever, go into the Boiling Isles. So he's lots of time to come up with this plan and establish himself. It's just, I'm always super impressed that he's still able to become emperor of a magical world when he does not have magic. He doesn't have organic magic. So I just think it's interesting that he's able to pull that off. And also he's looking forward to meeting, the human, according to Tara, but he's already met Luce. So that doesn't make any sense. And that also kind of insinuates he has plans for her. So I'm very, like I said, the plot in this is great. I'm super excited on where this is going. This episode was very cute and very sad, and parts of it were extremely funny. But that's the Owl House in a nutshell. It's always that way. So, but yeah, now it's just left speculating what is Belos's next move. And I saw the promo for next week where, of course, Lucy's going to have to go on another adventure for answers and clues on how to get back home. And I'm like, I feel like half of her heart is in that and the other half is not, because she doesn't want to. She wants to stay. She doesn't want to leave her mother, but she doesn't want to leave the Boiling Isles because it's the one place she feels like she's really herself. She doesn't feel like herself back home. She feels more foreign and alien in her own world than she does in the world she wasn't born in, which is the Boiling Isles, which I think is very interesting. So yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. And again, I'm super sad because technically this is the last season. I think we're getting a movie or two or specials or whatever, but this is the last season. So whatever they're going to do, it's going to happen in this next few episodes. And I think it's a shortened season too. So I'm excited, but I'm also sad because once we start getting deeper into this, the season's going to be counting down, and it's just so hard. And I hate that the Saturday morning block on Disney has Amphibia, and then it has the Owl House, finally together, and then the Owl House is going away. So yeah, it's a problem. It's problematic. But let's see. I see you guys have been saying things. Hello, Godzilla. How are you? The Lumity is strong in this episode. Yep, it really is. It is good to be back. Like I said, I love the Owl House. I am super sad that this is going away. I really am. More Amity and Willow screen time, please. Absolutely. Not gonna lie, I kind of miss Amity's green hair. Me too. I love her green hair. I don't mind her purplish hair. I'm thinking about dyeing my hair purple. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to debate on what I want to do. So I can't get rid of the purple, even though my favorite color is blue. I can't down the purple, but I can, it does kind of look like cotton candy sometimes. So I do get that. It goes from pink to purple, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, I do like her green hair, but I also like that she's trying to start fresh in her life, away from her overbearing parents and how they wanted her to be and how she was coming off. So it's kind of like, it basically was the change she needed. It's why she did it. She wanted to change. It symbolizes change, and that's why she did it. Because to be fair, her hair is brown. Even her roots are brown. I don't know why she can't bleach her roots, but her roots are brown. So if she really was going to be natural, she would have brown hair. But that's the thing, I guess. Bellows is starting to give me major Xanatos vibes. He really does. He really, really does. Xanatos is a great villain. Yeah, I think Bellows is he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it's not going to be magically. I think it's going to be, he's a formidable villain because his strategy, his plans, and how he has everything mapped out. He always seems to be 5 to 10 steps ahead of them. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's nice seeing Luz and Amity do combo moves together. I loved it. I thought, and they were so flawless. There was no hesitation at all. They just fought together like bam, bam, bam. I mean, that's the kind of fighting that you like. You want to see that in your favorite series. You don't want people to be like, what do we do now? Like, I don't know. Let me try this. I just love how they just went for it. I'm a big fan of battle couples. Me too. I am absolutely a big fan of that. You mean power couples? No, I think power and battle couples go hand in hand. Poor Ida. Yes, Ida, that poor girl. She has had the crappiest luck in this series. I mean, if you really think about being cursed by her sister, being pretty much exiled, treated like crap by everybody, she's obviously very lonely. At one point, she thought that King was going to leave to go find the dad and she was going to be alone. Now she's probably going to lose. Hopefully she won't, but probably potentially will lose not only her love Rain, but potentially Luz if she goes back home. There's a lot, and let's not forget the King's dad is still looking for him. Hootie, he ate the letter from the father, but he's still out there searching for him. So what's going to happen when King is reunited with his biological dad and figures out why his dad gave him away? Now Hootie, who just is very obsessed, as they said, about having attention from people, probably won't ever leave Ida. But I just really feel like, outside of her curse, she is feeling alone because her sister is back with her mom. So, I mean, not to be fair, I guess Ida could go home and stay with the mother too and bond or whatever with her and the sister. But yeah, she just seems really, I feel like she's got the crappiest end of the deal right now. That, and it will be Amity if Luz ends up going home. I will feel so bad for her. No battle couples that fight together. Yep. So in other words, World Dominion got it. I mean, that's what it seems like. I do wonder if Bellows has already used his portal to go to the human realm. I've been wondering that too, actually, because we haven't focused enough on him. So what has he been doing all these times when, of course, we got Amity or Lumity together, and we got, Luce going back to visit her mom. Like, he had to have been doing something. He's always plotting. He's not sitting at home waiting for her plot to end. So what has he been doing all this time? I think the reason he's talking about wild magic and getting rid of wild magic and going to that human realm is he has plans to get rid of all of the Boiling Isles. Maybe he sees the Boiling Isles as an abomination. I don't know. It would be interesting. Luce better pull Kagome and go with her chick. Her mama gonna be fine with Monster Luce full time and her. All right. I don't know what she's gonna tell her mother. Her mother's pulling the guilt card. She did the crying stuff. You're weak. I was weak against that with my mother, and my daughter's weak against that with me. So I mean, it's hard, but I don't know. I definitely need more of our trio. Yes, I want the friends to be in on it. Like I said, though, I was watching Willow with those weights. I was like, girl, be at it. What you doing, girl? She looks like she's training to fight. I also have not seen Willow use her magic at all since very early last season. So I don't know what's up with that, but I really would like to have that be a thing too. I mean, because I love Gus's duplication magic, and I love the fact that, like, this would have been a perfect episode for Willow because she is, a plant witch basically, and you got the head witch of the plant coven. I mean, that would have been a really cool fight, but they didn't have Willow involved at all in that, and that was really sad. Actually, it would have been nice for her and Gus to come along with Amity to help Luce, and her like plant magic against the head witch's plant magic would have been very cool to see. Especially when Willow gets mad. So I would love to see how that played out, but it didn't happen. Hello, Chris. Thank you for dropping by. You would look great purple, but you give Willow T to the most. She's the stealth power player on the team. I think that she really could do it. I think Willow, and we've seen Willow. We've seen how when she needs to, or she's upset, we see how powerful she is. So I don't think they're giving enough. Like, they're not getting enough Boiling Isle street cred to my girls. I think they need to do that. I'm hoping Keem gets to meet his dad in this half of the season. Me too. I don't know why it's taking so long. Like, if I sent my child a letter and I gave it to Al, and put it in the mailbox, I probably would want to follow up on it. I don't know. Just a thought. I want Eda to get access to her full powers again, but probably won't happen to the very end when the curse is broken. Or maybe she needs to tap into the curse's powers, because she was pretty powerful when they merged. So that's a thing too. Buff Willow is best Willow. Yep. I don't know what she was training for, but girl had it. I wonder how and when will Hunter switch sides, because we know it's coming. I know a redemption arc when I see one. Of course he's going to switch sides. I don't really think he's actually on Belos' side. I think he's on his side right now. He's in the middle. He's thinking about himself. I think eventually he will be on Team Luce when he starts seeing more of what Belos is doing. And we don't forget that they're trying to make it into a mini love triangle between Amity, Luce, and Hunter, because my girl is bisexual. So I don't know. I mean, I think we'll all be in our feelings if Lumity breaks up because of Hunter, because nobody wants Lunter. Loser, it would be loser. So no, nobody wants that. But I do think that, honestly though, I really think, and this is just me, I kind of feel like somehow they're related. I don't know why, but I just do. We don't know who Luce's father is. Wouldn't it be messed up if Emperor Belos was the dad? And maybe the mother knew about the Boiling Isles the entire time, and the reason she wants her to come back home and never go back is because she knows that's where the daddy is. That would be interesting. Or she knew that it took her husband, and but I guess technically speaking, though, I guess because of the years, it made it seem like he was back in the Victorian age. So I guess he would be too old to be her dad. But maybe it could be like a great grandfather or something like that. I don't know. Something like that would be cool. But I still, for some reason, think that Luce has a connection to that man. And I don't know why. I think Emperor Belos and her share blood for some reason. I just do. I think it would be really cool to find out how. As long as Hunter's familiar doesn't get eaten by Belos at the end to make him, I know, right? Better not. That better not happen. There's just so much. It's so exciting. And I wish sometimes that this episode was an hour. Like, this is an hour-long cartoon and not just like 30 minutes. I just think it would be interesting to see what other content we could get with that extra 30 minutes, because you could do a lot more with that. I feel like the reason we don't see Willow and Gus is because there's so much plot they have to tie up that they don't have time to put more side stories or more, even though I personally think they can involve them more in what they're doing. I think that might be why they're doing it. So just a thought. Just a thought. Luce, I am your father. Yes, all we need is Bellows to end up being Darth Vader. Like, that would be hilarious. But no, like I said, this episode was great. It really was. Just so many cute moments. I just love the fact that Amity was trying so hard to learn Spanish from a Mexican cookbook. You know, like, cause that's what that was. It was like, I'm going to learn Spanish. You are now a sweet potato. And now you notice how that became Amity's nickname, because when they were running, and like basically to try and get Kiki to Princess, and Lou says, "Oh, sweet potato, you're here." So she called her sweet potato. So now this is now Amity's pet name of endearment is sweet potato. So I thought that was really cute. But again, like I said, Amity now knows that the mother wants her to come home and doesn't want Luce ever to come back, which means they would have to break up. And I really want to know how Amity reacted to that, because they talk about it. She starts telling her, and then we see them sitting on the roof watching at the parade before Bellows' speech. And it's like, we don't ever get that reaction. I would have loved to have seen how Amity reacted to that. And maybe we'll get some more of that in the next episode or next few episodes, but I don't know. My fear is that Amity is going to feel so bad about Luce hurting over not being able to stay there and having to choose, that she might break up with her to give her a reason to go back home. Because I don't know why. I feel like Amity would sacrifice herself to make Luce happy. And if she thinks she's struggling because of her, then she'll take herself out of the equation. And I'm really hoping that is not what's going to happen. But I don't know why I have that feeling. And that'll really suck. And I don't think that will be 100% what will stay as part of the plot, because obviously I think that Luce will figure out that Amity is lying and doesn't actually still wants to be with her. But I feel like Amity will pretend not to want to be with her anymore to get her so upset she doesn't want to stay in the Boiling Isles and go back home and not want to come back. So, because the one way you can drive somebody off is by breaking their heart. So I'm hoping that, that's not Amity's plan to help her girlfriend make a choice she can't make. Because that would suck. That would suck. Yeah. Do you also watch Amphibia? Yes. But I just started, so I'm a little bit behind. So don't break up Lumity. Amity might not handle it well since Luce is her first big crush. Technically, I kind of feel like Amity is Luce's big first crush too. So I think Luce would have a lot of problems with that. But if she's thinking that Amity doesn't want to be with her anymore, that'll be a driving force in getting her to leave, because she doesn't want to be around her or can't be around her. It may suck and hurt too much to be around her. And then going back home may be a way of her running away from her feelings, because that's what happens. You run away from your feelings so you don't have to deal with it. So I think that could be something that Amity does. And I don't want her to do it. But I feel like Amity really cares about Luce, and you can see that she would do absolutely anything for her. So I think pretending not to want to be her girlfriend and pretending not to like her anymore to hurt her enough to go back to her mom and not worry about leaving Boiling Isles would be something that Amity would do. I really do. And that would really suck. That would really suck. I would only be bad to watch that scene and watch that episode, but it would be really good if later on Luce comes back and says, "I don't believe you," or whatever. I don't know. But if that's how they end the show and then they fix it in the movies, that's going to be hard waiting for those movies to come out. That would be a horrible cliffhanger. That'd be horrible. I'll be so in my feelings, guys, if that happens. Keep watching Amphibia. It's really fun. Yeah, it's cute. I like it. They're all in the same series, not world, but technically they all seem to be connected to me. So I like those shows. Data does a good job. I still want a movie of these characters time skip 5 years. That would be cool. Amity would kill someone for Luce if she had to. Absolutely. You could see it. I mean, she would do absolutely anything. So that's why hurting herself, I don't feel would be out of character. She would definitely hurt herself and lie to Luce to get her to leave if she thought that that's what she needed to do. And if she saw that her girlfriend was struggling too much, with this decision, I could absolutely see her doing that. So It's sad. It is really sad. And I hope that's not what's going to happen. But I just have this feeling that that is what's going to happen. Um, it's a thing. It is a thing. And I really feel like there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of subplot going on too. Like, I think there's things about Bellows we probably don't even know. He might turn out to be, instead of just a hard villain, he may turn out to be somebody that we actually sympathize with. Like, maybe the reason he's doing this is not evil, but what the actions he's doing are, the steps he's taking towards it are. Like, what happens if everybody that he's over, that he's, basically controlling, and these covens and these head witches and warlocks and blah, 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 whatever. What happens when they realize that he's powerless and he's just a regular human? They will turn on him. And so like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting when all this plays out. Amity family is so powerful. I really wish we could see what the twins are capable of. I love how the brother was selling like, I think it was like a firework or kind of like, no, it was an explosive. It's like based off of his time when he had to go get healed or some crap. It was crazy. Do you think after the Bellows saga that magic won't have specification systems in entirety? I hope not. I mean, it's cool that they have different covens. I know this is kind of like a spin-off of Harry Potter and various other shows that like to divide houses. But it also is cool to be able to have witches that are able to focus on all forms of magic. You're not limited. You don't have to just pick your specialty. I think specialties limit them a lot, and Bellows did that intentionally because he didn't want to have overpowerful, witches in this world. It's something Eda figured out early on, and I think it's interesting, and it's sad that she doesn't have her powers right now, but I think that's interesting that probably tied into his plan. This is a plan that Bellows has been thinking about for a long time, a long, long time. So I am not convinced that he is completely evil. But I am convinced that he will do absolutely anything to get home. And that includes taking out an entire world full of people. So I think once he got attacked and, by that wild magic, it did something to him mentally. Where, he was just an explorer trying to see a new world and try and figure out how to get back to his world. And now he's become somebody who's like, well, let's just take everything out to achieve my goal. So I'm interested to see how they figure how this plays in. And again, with Bellows, I don't want him to just be a villain. I want him to have depth and be really complex. And I want them to be moments where you actually understand why he's doing this crap. So I guess we'll see what's going to happen. But, it's a thing. Well, Bellows isn't powerless. He's just an unconventional form of magic. Bellows is still an extremely adept practitioner, even though he is not a blood witch. Now, what I mean by powerless is he doesn't have organic magic. And in the Boiling Isles, him being the emperor, I kind of feel like they would turn on him for that. Because look how they treat Luce. So, I mean, he essentially is an advanced version of Luce. So I'm really curious to see. I'm curious to see how all of this plays out. But it is very apparent. If you look at other episodes, like previous episodes, especially in this season that they've aired, he seems paranoid that people are going to realize that he is not as strong as they think he is. And that he's not this grand, practitioner that's organic and can use every form of magic in the Boiling Isles. So I think that that's going to come into play. And I think that's another reason why his timeline is so, rapid. Because every day that he is the emperor is another day and another step closer to being found out that he actually is just a human being. And I think that is going to play into that a lot too. So yeah, I think what we really need to do is have an episode, which I hate saying this because it takes away from everybody else, but have like an episode of full exposition on what happened to Bellows from the time he got in the Boiling Isles to now, what made him this way. I don't know if we're going to get it, but it would be really cool. But the fact that we're going to have a spinoff movie or a special, whatever we're having, tells me that maybe there's a chance everything will not be resolved, in this season. There's going to be stuff that's going to be huge spoilers and cliffhangers. And it's just basically us waiting for it to come out, which drives me nuts. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. I was excited to see what Hunter could do in his battles. I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see, because he's a pretty good fighter. I think we're going to see a lot of Hunter coming up. Because there's no way. I mean, he plays an important role as well in his uncle's plan, which I'm hoping is not basically his body being like a conduit for the emperor. Maybe he's transferring his essence or soul into Hunter's body to have a younger body and be able to go over to the human world. Because right now, the way Emperor Belos is, him going over to the human world looking like that is not going to pass. So entering into Hunter's body, who's not flawed and not damaged by wild magic, may be the goal. He might need that body. And it looks like a younger version of him. So, you know, it's a thing. Like I said, there's a lot. There is a lot of stuff happening, and I am extremely excited about. And I mean, I want to know more theories, though. What do you guys think is going on with Belos? What do you think that this day of reckoning is going to be when he decides to free the world of wild magic? What is his, basically his overall goal? And what do you think is going to happen with Lumity? I really want to know. And what do you think is going to happen with Eda and Rain? So let me know in the comments below. But we are at our almost 40-minute mark. We're at 35 minutes, guys. I do have another stream coming up at 2:30. It is called Trash Comics, where we talk about 2 comic issues from Golden Age, Silver Age, What the Heck Age version of The Flash. One of the issues came out in 1959, another in 1987. They are completely insane. I'm going to have my boy Jet Groove on with me. It should be absolutely hilarious. So if you are comic nerds and you want to hang out, that starts at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So basically in about a little under an hour. And it'll be on crack. I'm just letting you know that now. It's completely, this is going to be one of the funnier ones because of the material that we're talking about. So if you have time to check it out, please do. Also be on the lookout for some more videos coming out. I've made a few, so I'll be posting them soon. So be on the lookout for that. And guys, if it is day for you, have a very good day. If it is evening for you, have a very good evening. And I will see you in my next stream.